Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 68 today for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Season 4. If you guys did miss the previous one, the Chinese Grand Prix, then be sure to go check the one out before you see this one. That episode didn't end as we wanted it to, but hopefully we can get away from that bad vibes and we can kind of go into this one with some positivity because we have 3 ultimate upgrades coming to the car. 3 ultimate upgrades, which is absolutely insane. Front downforce, rear downforce, and an ultimate engine power upgrade to the car, and that's going to leap us so far up the R&D chart, as we're about to see here on the table, because the field spread is so small, the scaling is so small. 3 ultimate upgrades are pretty much a third of this entire table on the left hand side of that scaling there. So you can see we've jumped from the 3rd worst team on the grid to the 4th best team on the grid, just ahead of Haas on paper there, and you can see how much distance we've created from ourselves to Ferrari and Toro Rosso, which we're quite close to obviously in the first few rounds. So straight away then, I think I can say this episode from now on, hopefully we can say the infamous Fernando Alonso phrase, now we can fight, hopefully, because we're quite close. I mean, the field was already so close that I was able to get that amazing podium at Bahrain with a great strategy. So who knows now, with a great strategy in the next few episodes, could we bag the very first win early doors for this season? I'm not too sure. I was thinking maybe the first win would have to wait till about halfway through the season, but now seeing that progression, the ultimate upgrades, I think we could get a win in the next few episodes potentially if we play our cards right here. But we'll just have to see how it goes. Of course, Azerbaijan's going to be a pretty hectic Grand Prix anyway, with the amount of slipstreaming that's going to be possible with every single car. And before we get to qualifying, we also have to look at and worry about the durability of our engine and the gearbox. The gearbox slightly worn out there. You can see lime green as we're into the 60% worn region there. So probably from this episode onwards, I'm actually going to stop focusing on performance and focus on the reliability of the car, because we've only got one upgrade on that part of the tree basically, because that got completely wiped away with the R&D reset from Season 3 to Season 4. We've already got one performance part still pending for the Spanish Grand Prix next episode, so from then onwards I think we'll just be doing durability to make sure we don't have to take too many engine penalties or gearbox penalties later on this season. For now though, I don't think the gearbox is that worn that we'll have to take a penalty this episode. I think I'm just going to see how it goes through qualifying and then assess that at the end of quali, but I think it should just be about fine. But that's the kind of plan now for a little bit for the rest of the season, just kind of focus on reliability and then get back to finishing off the car and maxing out the performance probably towards halfway, I would say, of the season perhaps. But we're going to get to qualifying then and see how this car drives. Obviously 3 ultimate upgrades, 2 on the aero, but 1 major engine upgrade, so very much looking forward to seeing how this car now drives in anger with those upgrades. Hopefully we'll be aiming for the top 10 shootout Q3 for the very first time this season. Let's go.
Welcome to qualifying in the Republic of Azerbaijan. The teams are making their last-minute adjustments before the lights go green and the fight for pole position can get underway. So then, Ant, it's another Grand Prix weekend, another exciting qualifying session ahead of us. What are you going to be looking out for over the next few minutes?
The first question's going to be who can avoid making mistakes. There isn't much margin for error in qualifying, and you have to bear in mind that the track conditions may have changed since practice, particularly as we've had a few support races in the meantime. If the brake bias settings, for example, don't take this into account, it's extremely easy to lock up a front wheel and cause a flat spot. Just like that, your lap's ruined and you've wasted a set of tyres to boot.
Alright, so diving into the very end of our flying lap in Q1, and this should be a pretty easy task for us, although the first flying lap, as always is the case with the career modes, it wasn't that fast. The track obviously rubbering in, and also just trying to get used to the car. I could actually physically feel the difference in engine power. It was kind of crazy going down the main straight into turn 1. The car was going so bloody fast. The Mercedes car, as we know obviously with the maxed out experiment video we've done, when it's maxed out it is very rapid, and we're not even maxed out yet and the car feels so crazy to drive, and so I just can't wait till we actually max it out probably towards the end of the season. It's just going to feel insane to drive every single episode. But we get through into Q2, of course, up into P2, Hamilton P4. So that's just great to see. What a difference that makes from Australia, where, you know, I was knocked out in Q1. Last episode, myself and Hamilton were knocked out in Q2, and now we're sitting pretty in the top 6 positions in Q1. Q2 should be a formality of, obviously, hopefully for us, we're, the P4 best car on the grid, but as ever, the fuel spread is very, very close, so we could get knocked out still, but thankfully not. We set a very good lap time on that one and only flyer we had in Q2, because I had to burn 2 sets of soft tyres in Q1. But we get through into P2, Hamilton P4, looking great. But you can see Lucas Weber, my God, that man in the Renault looks insane. He's had 2 wins so far this season, and he looks electric this episode. I don't know what it is. Obviously, we've established Weber's AI car is very, very good. His AI driver is very, very good, but he's absolutely thrashing Verstappen right now in terms of the lap times, and obviously 2 wins to Verstappen's 0. I would have thought Verstappen would have been pretty handy in that Renault. That's the fastest car on the grid. So we'll see how it goes now in this top 10 shootout for Weber and everyone else, of course. We're on our flying lap. We have only one lap to do, unfortunately, though, because I don't have another set of soft tyres. So everyone's already set one lap. I've kind of gone in the middle of this session quite awkwardly, and so everyone else will have another chance to set a second flyer after I finish this one. So this will be a little bit annoying. I'm going to finish across the line, but no matter where we finish, I probably think we're going to go down the order as other people will set flyers. But let's just see. It's been a pretty decent lap, I think. And so as we go through down the main straight, DRS open, overtake mode, across the line, and it's P2 there. 2/10 off Hulkenberg, though, the Racing Point car looking pretty good. But by the time we get to the end of this session, other people set lap times, and so it will be Hulkenberg, though, who actually remains on pole position then. So very, very good pole for the German. Hamilton, though, second place there. So for the fourth time now, fourth time of asking, he's beaten me. I think it's now 2 apiece that I've beaten him, and he's beaten me in quali. So it's pretty level pegging, actually, between myself and Hamilton. But he's done the job there with the second flyer. Weber's looking great, as I said, because Verstappen didn't actually make it into the top 10 shootout. Verstappen got knocked out in the Renault, and Weber made it through into P3. So, like I said, just very surprising there, that dynamic between those two. But very good, very solid result. I will take that. P4, I'm not too fussed that Hamilton out-qualified us, because just remember where our car was last episode. P15 on the grid, and now we're P4 here at Azerbaijan. Happy days. Looking forward to the race. Let's go to the grid and see how we do on Sunday.
And a warm welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today, so our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully away from the barriers. Baku City Circuit then, an unpredictable 3.7-mile track around the streets of the Azerbaijan capital. 20 turns for our drivers to navigate today, including the infamous Turn 8, one of the tightest and most challenging corners of the season. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Let's have a chat about Williams. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs, but this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Nico Hulkenberg lines up on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Weber, the engineer, Devon Butler, and Stroll, Gasly, Perez, Ricciardo, and Daniel Kvyat, Giovinazzi, Russell, Charles Leclerc, and Raikkonen, Grosjean, Vettel, Kevin Magnussen, and Lando Norris. Bottas and Max Verstappen completes the grid, and with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Right, so here we are then on the grid once again, directly behind Lewis Hamilton like we were last episode, but the difference is now we're quite a few rows up the order. Hamilton on the front row in second place and myself in fourth place on the second row. Strategy today will be a one-stop from the soft tyre to the hard tyres. Don't think there'll be any point to do the two-stop for most people. It will be more about getting out of a DRS train and trying to get in some clean air to kind of pull away from people, because otherwise they will just stick with us, but that's going to be an issue for everyone really. So let's just make the most of it then and get into this as we go to 5 red lights for the fourth round of this fourth season of F1 2019 Career Mode 2, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We're on the way. It's initially a good getaway for us compared to Lucas Weber, but an even better start there for Lewis Hamilton. Down the inside he goes to try and get P1 of the Grand Prix. Instead, we're left defending Devon Butler and Lance Stroll, who tried to go either side of us into turn 1, so it's not been the best start for me. Hamilton still neck and neck there with Hulkenberg, trying to get into the lead this Grand Prix, but Weber now is coming through. It's nearly going to be 3 wide for those guys, as it's a little bit awkward there. I think Hulkenberg is just narrowly ahead, and Hamilton instead now has to go defensive against the German there on the outside in the Renault. He's going to try and steal P2 off him. We're just trying to skate through here. You can see the heaviness of my car really annoying me at the moment here, with the rear end stepping out quite a fair bit, and the rear end's going to annoy me even more as the DRS fails on us for the second time now this season already in four races. I'm pretty sure it failed on us at the opening race at Australia, and so it's failed again. So no DRS for the first part of this Grand Prix. Of course, it doesn't get activated till lap 3 anyway, but still. But our car is very slippery in a straight line. My setup is basically made 4 straight line speed, so we're going to have a good go at Hamilton there. We have to let off quite a little bit, though, into turn 1. Hamilton did move slightly under braking, so that was a little bit iffy there from my teammate, but he remains in P3. I think he was trying to make a move on Weber, perhaps, and just didn't really see me coming there at a rate of knots. But yeah, the car seeming very good, at least my setup as well, making the car very slippery in a straight line, so maybe no need for DRS to maybe overtake some cars ahead of us. But for now, you can see Lance Stroll's ultra pressurizing me, just like he did back in Australia when our DRS failed again. So very much some deja vu, I think. I think I'm remembering that correctly anyway. We move on now to lap number 3, closing up to Lewis Hamilton then, and you can see the power of our Mercedes car is coming through as we go very easily, waltzing past him up into P3 then. The DRS is now enabled, but of course mine is still broken, but we're up into the podium positions now. Hulkenberg, though, is getting away in P1, and Weber has built a bit of a gap there to us already on lap number 3, so I'm not too sure. Maybe they're going to be kind of too fast for us. I mean, they are on paper still better than us, so perhaps we're going to have to look behind and just try and solidify this P3. Let's see as we go through towards Sector 3. Hamilton right on the back of me there. He's looking a little bit daring, and he goes for a very bold move down the inside. He almost squeezes us into the wall there on the right-hand side there, so getting very frosty between teammates here today. The two Silver Arrows going hammer and tong, and I'm sure Toto Wolff will be twitching on the pit lane box as he watches that back. But we're going to get back up into P3, as of course we all know, it's been said many times, the main straight on this circuit, it's like a motorway. It's just so easy to overtake once you get in the slipstream, especially when the cars are this fast now in Season 4 with the upgrades. But now we've got more things to worry about. Once again in Sector 3, Lance Stroll this time is the one that sends it down the inside. So that corner, I appear to be very weak under braking compared to AI. I definitely do take that corner a little bit more cautiously than maybe I should do, because I'm just so scared of locking up and going straight into that wall there. And so that means that AI definitely have an advantage every single lap. And so Stroll is very close to us. We can see there's a whole stream of cars now, and this is the DRS train I was talking about, especially at this circuit, but pretty much in this game. Once you get caught up in this train, we talked about it with Hamilton last episode at China, once you get caught up in the train where you're just all DRSing off each other, it's so hard to break that. And if you can pull away from cars, but at the moment I'm just stuck here at the top end, basically dragging them all along, and they're able just to feed off my DRS. And you can see Hamilton getting amongst it, and he's actually been overtaken by the Red Bull now, Devin Butler, as Stroll now is going for a move on lap number 7. DRS available for him. Of course, I had none, even if my DRS, I think it's fixed now, but I don't have it available, of course, because there's no one ahead of me within 1 second there. So Stroll's got me, and into the next corner. Oh, it's a big lock up from us. It's a big mistake, and we nearly smashed into the wall there. Thankfully not, but it means that Devin Butler, my former F2 rival, has overtaken me there in the Red Bull car, and so we're down one more position. So right now it's not going too well for me in the Grand Prix. Getting a bit flustered and kind of letting the cars get under my skin a little bit there, because I kind of felt the pressure from Butler. I feel that's why I kind of pushed into the mistake almost, if you will. But we move on to lap number 7, and both me and Butler will now come in for a pit stop. We're going to gain a bit of time on him in the pit lane entries. That's a pretty good entry for us, and we'll go on to a set of hard tyres then. We've also got the likes of the Ferrari and McLaren, I think, joining us there as well. Surprised not to see a McLaren in the top 5 yet, because the McLaren car is very much up there on paper in the R&D chart, so it's kind of surprising not to see either Sergio Perez or I can't even remember these days who the other McLaren is. I think it's Carlos Sainz, I want to say, or maybe Lando Norris. I think it's Norris. I think there's been so many driver transfers now, I can't keep track of them. But we're up into now P15, or down to P15 as we come out the pit lane then. But we obviously are going to gain some positions as other people come in from there. Different strategies. Some people start on the medium tyres, a la Giovinazzi. But here we go now, making a double move on him and Devin Butler there, trying to force the move and get back against Devin, and just show that basically that was a blip in our driving there. Mistake obviously by ourselves to let him through, and on paper I feel like I should be faster than Butler there, so we're going to try and streak ahead and maintain that position. We're up into P11 now. Stroll though has maintained that overtake on me. You can see he's come out ahead of us there by about a second, but he's also catching up to another Haas car of Grosjean here, so both Haas cars helping us out a little bit with traffic here as Grosjean is overtaken around the outside there. Very awkward overtake for Lance Stroll, and so we're going to get right on the back of the Frenchman, and we could actually use this as a good slingshot to actually overtake the Canadian as well, as you're about to see here, kind of just lining up the move there. Overtake mode already on the ERS as we go through into 8th gear. A little bit of a lift off maybe as we go through, and Grosjean squeezes us into the wall nearly, and so there was a faint little lift off there, but now we go full power once again. DRS open now, and look at the speed we are gaining here. 227 miles per hour down the inside of Lance Stroll, but we've overcooked it a little bit there, so fair play to Lance Stroll. Got the braking right there, and he's undercut us down the inside and got that position back there. So the speed I was going at, I basically just couldn't even slow the thing down there. I was going so quickly, so I have to try that again there. So a few mistakes so far in this race. I'm only human, of course, and so the pressure's getting to me a little bit in these great battles. But here we go now. DRS open once again, and we're climbing. We're going to overtake Stroll a lot earlier on the straight there, so I can compose myself, get the braking right, and slow this thing down from 227 miles per hour down to about 80 miles. That is quite a difference there into turn one. And so we got the job done second time of asking. But speaking about seconds, Lance Stroll's going to have the second DRS zone to try and get back at us there. He's still very much underneath our gearbox, so he's going to open DRS. The sparks flying away from my car. We go defensive to the left-hand side. Stroll will be on the right-hand side. Goes the long way round. We try and squeeze him off towards the wall, but he's not having any of it, and he's still very much there on my right as he sends one with a bit of a dive bomb there by the Canadian. Good work there by him, and we're still fighting through the next corner into the left, the chicane, the left and right. He's on the outside. We're going to brake a little bit early though and try and switch this way, and it's almost a textbook switchback move from us, but we just don't get the traction out the corner. That Racing Point car is so good out the corner there. Very surprised, but we shouldn't really be too surprised though, because it is obviously one of the best cars on the grid nowadays in Season 4, but I thought that was going to be the slam dunk switchback move for me, but alas not. So we are just going to have to try and keep up with him, and we're practically pushing him through the corner there, through the castle section, but a great sequence of corners and battling between myself and the Canadian. So we carry on then. We're a little bit far from him, but this is still within striking range with the DRS, remember, so it's okay as we slow it down now through that awkward left-hander as we move on towards the end of lap number 11 onto lap number 12. Just going to keep this through nice and calm there. Don't lose the back end as we go through here. Now it's about winding up the car as we go through the left and then the right, and it's a slingshot onto that main straight. DRS will be activated at some point, but we don't even need it. Overtake mode. Rich Meek's going. Our car is so quick, and we're close enough to Lance Stroll. As we get to the DRS detection points, we are pretty much there for overtaking him, and we're going to get back up into P9. Third time of asking down this main straight here. Can we finally finish it off? Hopefully so. We're going to have to see though, because once again he's going to have another go, I would say, probably into the next left-hander as we come through to that second DRS zone of the lap here, as we're now going through that same part. Overtake mode, hot lap mode, overtake mode again, just filling through with the DRS mode, trying to get the best acceleration we can. Stroll comes knocking once again with DRS. This time though we're on the outside, which will turn to the inside for the next right-hander, and that will be the ticket for us to try and defend that successfully and maintain the position. At this point I'd like to say we can try and push on and try and get away from Lance Stroll now, but as we go through the next right-hander, our engineer says there is a failure on the gearbox. We've lost one gear, and you can see on the bottom right there we've lost fourth gear as we go up from third straight to fifth there, and so that will affect us because fourth gear is used quite a fair bit in this track here. It's just to make every brake zone awkward. So Stroll is down or inside there, and he's forced the move because he knows that I'm going to be slow on the downshift there. Hamilton is even down my inside as he goes for the move there, so a bit cheeky from our teammate to try and attack us when we're vulnerable, but of course it's the best time to, and there's no team orders quite early on through this season quite yet there, so we go through onto lap number 13. Gonna have to try and use the straight line speed to get back at Lance Stroll, but I don't know how the brake zone's going to go because missing fourth gear just makes it very awkward because the car wants to snap out at you as soon as you go from fifth to third, obviously because it's just not as smooth as a transition. So here we go now, a little bit of a fake to the left, go to right, around the outside. There you can see the rear end does snap out there as we enter the apex. We just about control the slide and we maintain that position and get it back on Lance Stroll, and now you can see he's being pressurised by Hamilton with a bit of a lock-up for the Canadian, and just ahead of us, that's come out of the pit lane, is Charles Leclerc out of nowhere. The Toro Rosso has just made his first pit stop of the afternoon. It's come out all ahead of us there as we now steam it down the inside. It's a massive dive bomb for us and a great move on my former teammate from last season. They're a little bit personal there for me, wanting to get that move done, but for some reason there, well not for some reason, for a massive reason of losing time with fighting cars, we've all lost out. Myself, Stroll, Hamilton, Butler, we've all been overtaken, or briefly overtaken by Leclerc, and we have been overtaken by Lando Norris in the McLaren, because as you can see, as I go side by side with Leclerc and just maintain this P5, Norris is ahead of us in P4, so the McLaren has jumped all of us and got a massive amount of time on us, and now Leclerc has just got me again. That Toro Rosso, it's the worst car on the grid on the R&D chart, but remember, one thing that didn't get reset from last season to this season was the engine, and remember, when I was in that car alongside Leclerc last season, what was the best attribute of the Toro Rosso? The engine. It was absolutely insane how much power that Honda engine had in the back of that Toro Rosso, and it's still there. So at this circuit, and I imagine later on at Italy, the Toro Rosso is going to be very, very handy indeed. It is indeed, obviously, as Leclerc is giving me a very good fight right now as we move on towards lap 18. We're going to come back at him, though, with the DRS and overtake mode, and hopefully one of these laps we need to try and just break this DRS toe and get away from him, because otherwise it's just going to be the same thing, back and forth, and we're just not going to be able to get away and kind of maybe make any kind of inroads on maybe catching Magnussen, who's also another car that's jumped us. So both Magnussen and Norris have done a madness. They've been in clean air. I don't know if they started on the medium tyres, perhaps they did, and they've jumped all of us, basically. Myself, like I said, Stroll, Hamilton, Butler, even that Ferrari car that's back there has been jumped, basically, I think, of Ricciardo. So, yeah, it's been a great strategy for those two. As Hamilton now, we watch on, trying to overtake Lance Stroll, get in the middle of him and Leclerc, and this will be great news for me. If Hamilton's busy fighting and attacking Leclerc, we can get away and try and break off that 1 second we need to try and stop basically training these guys behind us. And there goes Hamilton now down the inside. Leclerc squeezes him quite aggressively towards the wall there on the left, where Hamilton gets the job done. I think he does, but no, Leclerc's still got the inkling there on the front end. He's still got the nose in, and so they're side by side through the next left-hander, and which one of them is going to get DRS? I think Hamilton may have lost DRS there, so I think Leclerc's going to be actually in a better position. I think, yeah, he's opened up the rear flap. Hamilton's got the DRS as well, so I think both of them were within 1 second of myself, at least. So both of them now having a drag race of DRS, and Hamilton is still not able to get the job done. I thought that was going to be it for sure, but no, he's not. And now he's being re-attacked by Lance Stroll. So Hamilton really not faring too well here on these hard tyres, and he's really feeling the pressure with all this, slipstream basically. Hamilton just doesn't do well in traffic, it would seem, right now in Season 4. A bit of a shame it's like that, because I would like him to kind of overtake these cars and try and help me out in terms of building that blockade there. But right now, Leclerc's still very much within a second of myself, but we're going to have to get the hammer down and try and break it. But Hamilton struggling there. He's now been overtaken by Butler into turn 1. So now it's him versus Max Verstappen. So this is a very strange dynamic here. Weber is thrashing Verstappen right now, because Weber's out there fighting for the lead, I think, whereas Verstappen's down here for the lower points, and Hamilton is joining him there. Like, I'm obviously not where Weber is, but it's a very weird dynamic to see Hamilton and Verstappen being the two, of the pairings, basically being the slower ones at this stage of this season. But I have no doubt once we get through to later on this season, and when we get into some clean air situations, Hamilton's AI will be really quite challenging to beat, because we've seen that before. When he's in a good car, when he doesn't get caught up in traffic like this, he's so fast on this game. So I have no doubt it's going to be a great fight later on, if it's not one quite yet so far in the races. But as we go on through this Grand Prix, I'm just proving to myself more than anything that this car has pace. So we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix on the second last lap of the GP, and as we swing through the last lap of the Grand Prix, then Lucas Weber will win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He wasn't in first place for a lot of that race. He went and chased down Hulkenberg to get the win, so fair play there. But so that's 3 wins now out of 4 for Lucas Weber and Renault in this season. He's absolutely dominated the first part of the season, and so I think he's very much already announcing himself as a title contender, which is very exciting for us, I think, if we can try and join him, because that will be a title fight with our old F2 teammate, of course. But we're going to come across the line, and it's been a bit of a frustrating one, because 3 ultimate upgrades, and the car really almost felt like it got slower in the race, at least for both me and Hamilton. But I guess that was the nature of the circuit with the Slipstream Fest, so we'll have to take it and just hopefully build on the upgrades for next time at the Spanish Grand Prix.
Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
As today's winners make their way up the podium steps, the team at Renault have shown once again what it takes to build a successful Formula One team. A well-deserved win for them.
So like I said, with Lucas Weber getting 3 wins out of 4, he is looking mighty this season. There's already a massive gap to him in the Drivers' Championship. So later on this season, if we are to challenge for the title, I don't even know if we're going to be able to. If we are, we're going to have to win a lot of races and hope that Weber gets a few unlucky ones to come back, because he's already looking so strong. 3 wins out of 4. You know, it's a very much Hamilton or Vettel-esque kind of start to the season, depending on which year you look at, basically. But for us then, as a team, like I said, a bit of a weird one there. The car felt so much quicker in quali, but in the race it definitely felt very odd. It felt like everyone actually was very much able to catch us back there. So hopefully it's Spain. Maybe our car looks a little bit better in race trim. But like I said then at the start of the episode, we're going to focus on reliability now until we get the car a little bit more reliable. So we're going to go ahead and purchase a gearbox, durability upgrades, and an internal combustion engine one to try and solve those, because our engine is already a little bit worn. You can see there on the internal combustion engine. So some parts will have to be changed for the Spanish Grand Prix. But nevertheless, though, it was still a very entertaining race nonetheless. Some great battles, especially with Lance Stroll. Some mega battles with the Canadian there. So guys, if you did enjoy it, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here to try for weekly Fallen content, I've been aarava. Home Trust Day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.